Welcome to the stream. We have news for you. This is going to be an amazing one. I think I say that every time. It's kind of weird, but this time we actually have a guest on the stream, a guest that I've been wanting to get on for some time now. Harald, it's good to have you.
Well, it's so good to be here.
Had some amazing talks, and it's time for the community to get to know you as well because the stories that we've shared off stream, it's kind of amazing. So, if we can just give the audience a fraction of the excitement and the drama and the mind expanding thoughts that we are having on a more or less daily basis, that would be a win.
Oh yeah, it sure would.
Yeah. So today's topic, results and hidden powers.
When the universe responds.
I really hope that sound effect works. I did it.
That was
Okay. Because like today has been amazing. Every day now seems to have some hidden gem, and it's almost like I'm starting to see a pattern to it. I'm starting to see why it's happening and what made it happen. Although it's kind of hard to put into a very understandable framework, I guess. I think that's not meant to be put in a framework because it's more of that it happens, and when it happens, you're just blown away. So today I've had a meeting that changed my reality. I've had three separate talks that kind of just painted a picture in my mind that was almost creepy accurate as to what I've been trying to see in my mind and what is currently happening in my life. And with everything that we're doing, just the last time we're talking about getting Harald to Norway, like that is going to change everything. Not and that is not even talking about the amazing show that will come from seeing that journey of yours, Harold. Everything now is just pointing in the right direction.
I would like to say thank you for that from your last video. I appreciate the shout out and for you sharing that GoFundMe for me.
Oh, dude.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
greatly appreciate your support as always.
I've come to know you as a brother, and after that stream, I had an epiphany, and I don't know. I'm not sure if I told you this actually, which is weird because you were the main character in that narration or in that story. But what we've been going through together has kind of opened my eyes a lot in every way. And when you met the when you came to the decision that you were going to do this, when you saw that, okay, I'm doing it, you're taking the step. It was the first time I think ever that I've felt we are doing this. It was almost a egotistical thing because I knew that by helping you, we are helping everyone. So this is even if you didn't know about it, if you like, I don't want to how do I put this? It's one of those, of course, because you're my brother, and together, like if this goes as planned, it's gonna benefit so many people. It's amazing.
That's certainly the goal.
Yeah. And this. Do you want to tell them a little bit about your journey, what you have planned?
Sure. And Mark, I just saw in the chat that you were having a hard time hearing me. I'm
Let me.
hoping this is better. I got a little closer to the mic, but I am working off of my laptop at the moment. So I'm sorry if the audio comes through a little quiet, but I'll try to speak a little louder and get closer to the mic. But
Yeah, I think you're in the good levels right now. It seems.
awesome. So yeah. So for those of you who don't know me, I I've had an interesting journey over the last 3 or 4 years, really. But I used to be an Air Force photojournalist, traveled the world, um, produced a lot of content for the Air Force, and just telling their story. So I've always in some way been a storyteller. But when I got out of the military, I really wanted to make a shift from telling news like stories, and more so tell stories that are both entertaining as much as they educate and inform people. So I shifted from news into entertainment, and I worked with a film company for a little while. As soon as I got out of the military, I worked in Dallas, in production, and shot a lot of content there. But we produced stuff like documentaries, TV shows, advertisements for companies. We shot all sorts of stuff. And I worked mostly in operations, but I still had a hand in some of the production elements for the shows that we were producing, and then also did a little bit of editing as well. But what started as a dream come true quickly turned into a not so great experience, and then it just snowballed from there, and it was just one unfortunate event after the next. And for a little while I was pretty bitter about it, but then I started to realize that these things that were happening weren't happening to me, but they were happening for me. And so it put me in a position to really look at myself and where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do with my life. And the harder I tried to continue doing what I used to be doing, the more that it felt like the universe was pushing me into being what I was, like what I had been manifesting in my mind of like what I wanted to be. So I went through a lot of failures, went from startup to startup, and worked with a bunch of different businesses and tried to start my own businesses, and nothing was quite working, or I was partnered with the wrong people, and it ultimately forced me to grow, and pushed me into the situation I'm in now, where I have to really look at what I want to be in my life, and what I want to keep, and what I can let go, and really it's left me in a position where I'm like, I have a lot of stuff that I don't need, and I want to live a simpler life, and eventually I want to get to Norway, and I want to live in Norway. But I was looking at stuff the other day. I was like, I have this couch I don't need, or I have this table I don't need anymore, and I can get rid of that. I can sell that. And so I started like getting rid of stuff, and I just started going through my boxes, because I just recently moved too, and I'm just going through boxes of junk, and like, I don't need this, I'm gonna sell it. I don't need that, I'm gonna get rid of it. I'm gonna downsize. I'm gonna get rid of all this stuff I don't need. And then eventually I want to get into an RV. So I'm like, well, what do I need that'll fit in the RV? And anything that I don't need or won't fit in the RV, I can either get rid of or put in storage. So it kind of fits into the topic that we're talking about today, the results and hidden powers when the universe responds. The universe responded for me and basically told me that I don't need a lot of this stuff. If I want to get to Norway, I need to be more mobile, and if I have been manifesting this in my mind over so many years, and it's now forcing me into that position, I might as well just take it and start shifting things to make that dream a reality for me. And so that's ultimately what I've been doing. Oh, sorry, my dog's going crazy.
I love that. I mean, and there was a few dips in there not that long ago where it kind of, yeah, as you say, those periods kind of force you to take inventory and see what is possible in this exact moment in time.
They absolutely do.
And now here we are just talking about something that was not even on the table a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, not in this. Like we always had that a kind of joking way of, what if, what if I was just to go into an RV and do this, and then all of a sudden it got serious. It's amazing.
Well, ultimately, I just want to. I don't know. I just have a nomad like
Yeah.
spirit, so I just want to be able to um, have the adventures that I used to have when I was in the military. Hey,
Yeah.
when I was in the Air Force, my first assignment was in Germany, and I've been to 9 countries since then. And I like to be able to be mobile and go out and experience all of these different places and these different cultures, and each time I go and I do that, it gives me another story to tell or another lesson to learn and share. And so I can't necessarily do that if I'm tied down in one place. So when I got out of the military, that's exactly what happened. It tied me down to one place. Even when I was stationed back in the United States, I was still kind of tied down in one location. And I didn't like that. I liked being able to be mobile and go out and say, like when I was in Germany, I was like, this weekend I think I'm going to go to Luxembourg, or this weekend I think I'm going to drive over to Paris, or this weekend I think I'm going to go to Italy. And it was
That's amazing.
yeah, it was just like if I wanted to go somewhere, I got in the car and I went. And yes, Europe is small, so being able to travel between countries is very easy when you're in Europe. But even though it's small, each place is very different, and each place has a very different experience with it. So, yeah, I don't like to be tied down in one place, and when I'm trying to expand my mind. Or learn new things or have greater experiences, they often always come when when I don't have much, and I can just pack up what I need into a bag and throw it in a car and just hit the road and go.
I so resonate with that. Yeah. When you don't, yeah. What what was the hardest thing, would you say, when you were getting to that point where you saw that, okay, I have to take inventory? Was there any point in that you were like feeling attached to some of the things that you're basically letting go of? Because this is a life-changing decision.
Yes. Yeah, there is some stuff that I have a hard time letting go of. And uh, most of the stuff that is mine, it's just stuff. I can let it go. But there are some things that I have that weren't mine to begin with. Like my grandma passed away last year, and I inherited. So I was a photographer in the Air Force, but she was a photographer my entire life. Um, so ever since I was little, photography has been a part of my life. And when she passed away, I inherited a lot of her camera equipment and her cameras, her lenses, her backdrops, her lights. She had a lot of old film cameras too. So I have a bunch of like old film cells and film cameras and like the stuff that I can't necessarily use. Like some of it's damaged and some of it doesn't work anymore, but it's like that stuff I have a hard time letting go of because it was my grandma's.
Yeah.
So those kinds of things that I don't necessarily want to let go of because they have value or meaning to me, I can still keep and hold on to. But I can still in some ways let go of it. So if it doesn't, like, obviously it doesn't make sense to have an entire RV or tiny home or motorhome full of camera equipment if I'm not going to use it. So if I'm not planning on keeping it with me or utilizing it, then I can at least package it safely and put it into a storage unit somewhere and pay, I don't know, $50-$60 a month to keep it in a climate controlled storage facility somewhere, and then if I ever need it, like, I know where it is and I can go get it, but I don't necessarily have to keep it with me.
Yeah. Let's say that you had everything set. You kind of, how do you prepare for a trip like that? Both mentally and what do you need?
It's that, you know, that's an interesting thing to think about, because for me, like, being in that position to, like, let's say I'm already in an RV and I'm good to go, like, that's there's really no preparation that needs to be done, because at that point it's just freedom. So right now, being in the position I am now, the preparation comes with getting rid of the stuff I don't need.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, it's a financial play. I have to figure out how much money I need to make it happen, where I'm going to spend those funds. And it's funny because, like, I'm downsizing, so it shouldn't, or I'm like cutting things out, so it shouldn't be that expensive, but it kind of is. So it's like I have to figure out, do I want to buy an RV? Do I want to buy a motorhome? And they're kind of different. So, like, if I bought an RV that hooks up to a truck, I could just haul around a trailer, or I could buy a motorhome that I can drive. Or I could build a tiny home on a trailer. So I could buy like a 30-foot trailer, and I could go out and buy the materials, and I could lay down the floor and then put in subfloor, and then hang up the walls and put a roof on it, and really build my own little tiny home on a trailer and haul that sucker around. So I got to figure out, like, where I want to spend my money, what makes the most sense, and ultimately what I want, how I want to live long term.
Yeah.
So the preparation comes in getting rid of what I don't need, the financial planning, and then I don't want to even say that there's a whole lot of mindset preparation that needs to be done to get into that, because the short-term goals in themselves to get to that point where I can make that a reality is satisfaction enough to be able to continue pushing through and checking things off the list and getting from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, to be ready for it. Because once that happens and that becomes a reality, it's ultimately my freedom, and it's my blissful serenity to be able to be in that space.
Wow, I can't even imagine the sensation of that just reaching that, knowing that, looking at it. Like, if you standing there looking at this freedom vehicle, that sensation rolling over your body must be intense.
Oh yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And it's a cool feeling, because I was just yesterday or last night, I was looking at whether or not I actually really did want to be in an RV, or if I wanted to build a tiny home, because both cost roughly about the same amount of money. If I want to get into a decent RV or motorhome that could house me long term and that I could live in full time, it roughly about $30,000.
Yeah.
US dollars. But if I if I wanted to build a tiny home, I could build a tiny home from scratch, from ground up, for anywhere from $30,000 less. So I could build the shell of a tiny home for $5,000 and build up literally just the floor, the walls, the ceiling, the trailer, and build all that for $5,000, and then I could put the rest of the money into appliances and furniture and
Yeah.
whatnot. I could have literally my own little house on wheels. And so I was looking at floor plans for that last night, and it was kind of a cool feeling because it was like, even if I get an RV, like I can tear stuff out and I could customize it and build it however I want to. And ultimately, I want to be able to do that because I want to be able to put solar panels on the roof so that I can generate my own green electricity and not have to run off of fossil fuels and stop off at a gas station all the time. I want to be able to park it on the side of the road anywhere and be able to power what I need to power. I want to have a rainwater collection tank so that I can collect as much water as I can when it does rain, so I don't have to fill up with clean water as often. I'll still need to do that, but not as often. And then I can put heated floors in, so that way I can keep the RV or the motorhome or tiny home or whatever it ends up being warm during the winter. I don't have to worry about things freezing. I could have heated water tanks and heated battery bays, so that that way nothing freezes during the winter. But yeah, it's a cool feeling, and it really just fills you with energy to be able to think like, I don't need, like, in the grand scheme of things, I don't need that much money to make this happen and be able to live full time without a whole lot of stress. So if you look at the cost compared to a house, like I could spend $300,000 on a house, or even $500,000 on a house, and then I don't need all that space, and then I'm stuck in one place again, and it's cool to be able to have your own house. Yes, there's things that you can do with that you can't necessarily do when you're mobile. However, being able to live within your means at a very, very low cost of living is a cool feeling that doesn't really compare to anything else. Like, there's no mortgage with a tiny home. There's no mortgage with an RV or a motorhome. So it ultimately gives you that peace of mind and that freedom to be able to do other things, or do the things that you want to do, and be able to dedicate that that brain power to anything else that you want.
Damn, that is freedom. Like what we talked about, we both have that shared dream of just basically almost like a survival game, going out into the middle of the forest in our boxers, just trying to survive, keeping that one thought in your head.
I still want to do that, by the way.
Yeah, me too. Definitely gonna do that. But just that simplicity of it, like when you have so much, and I guess this doesn't apply to everyone, because when you have this sense of safety, you will not feel the need to think in those ways. But when you have all the things going on in your head at once, trying to figure out a solution, you kind of just want to take a break. And when you find what kind of a break that is, simply walking into the forest and surviving, primal survival. That it sounds blissful to me. So when you say that, living within your means and just, oh, dude, it sounds like utter heaven.
Yeah, well, I think it makes you appreciate more.
Oof, yes.
And yeah, I think in today's age, um, people grow, societies grow exponentially, very quickly,
Yeah.
and even more so now, with this technology age. People want things faster. People want things bigger, better, um, and it ultimately just adds a lot of unnecessary things
Yeah.
that you have to either take care of, maintain, or uh,
Basically, they own you. The things own you after a while.
yeah, sorta, yeah. Um, it just makes you a slave to it.
Yeah.
Um, so like if you yeah if you're if if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur and you don't have internet, you're kind of screwed in today's world.
Dude,
Um,
yes.
or if you have your own house, like you gotta figure out, okay, well, if I have my own house, I got a mortgage. I gotta worry about the mortgage payments. I gotta worry about property taxes. I gotta worry about uh, paying water, paying electric, paying gas, if you have it, uh, and it's just like all these extra added things
Yeah.
that you don't necessarily need to survive. So yes, you need water. However, uh, you don't need to tap into city water. You could
Exactly.
have your own rainwater collection tank at your house and run your own fresh water, or you could drill your own well.
We did
Uh,
that.
if you're yeah, if you have the ability to do so, you could drill your own well and you could collect well water.
Yeah.
Uh, you could find other means of power. So like you could run solar power, but you know you got to keep in mind, okay, so if I run solar power and I have a house, a big house, I got to make sure that I can meet those power needs. Otherwise, like on a cloudy day or a rainy day, I'm not going to be able to charge, or I'm not going to be able to collect that kind of power. So I might not have power that day. So then you got to figure out, okay, well, if it's cloudy or fog, or I've got some sort of overcast and I can't collect power from the sun, like is there another means that I can collect power from?
Yeah.
Or do I even need it? Like, can I take a day off? If I don't have power, can I take a day off? Do I need to run AC that day, or do I need to have the TV on and draw power for the TV? Like, there's a bunch of stuff that you can say, well, no, I don't need to do that. I can go outside today. I can shut all the power off and I can go outside, or I can uh, go down and I mean, it might be raining, but I can still go out and I can do some fishing, or I can do some hunting. I can set up a little shack, or maybe put on a poncho and go out, and I can still spend that time outside doing something, anything else that doesn't
Yeah.
require power. And so there's just a bunch of different ways that you can take yourself out of or release some of those shackles or those chains that have you tied to this modern day society that encourages you to be plugged in or connected to all of these other resources that draw from you. You just say, you know what, I just don't want to. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to give them all of my money, or I don't want to give all so much of myself to bending backwards to make all of this stuff happen. I mean, if you have the financial resources to do so, that's fine. But even then, even if you're a millionaire and you have all the resources in the world, you to be able to live without any worry whatsoever, you can still look at it and say, like, you know, I don't want that, or I don't need that, and divert your energy to the things that you do enjoy, or the things that do serve you, or bring you more fulfillment.
That's really interesting because I've been talking to a lot of people about that, and the one common denominator that I've found going across the board is that when I ask people about what kind of a creative outlet do they have in their life, 99% of them say that they don't have any. 99% is kind of a harsh number, but the majority don't have anything that really enables them to disconnect and just to flow in their own I guess you can call it essence or voice. You know, when you just lose time because you're doing something that you truly love.
Mm-hmm.
Because just being connected to all these things, just letting it consume you, it's not good in the long run.
Yeah, like it was the other day I was having a conversation with my mother because I told her I was selling my TV,
Yeah.
and she tells me, she's like, no, don't, like, why are you doing that? Why are you selling your TV? Like, what are you gonna do without a TV?
Oh, that's interesting.
And I'm like, I don't know, read a book.
Yeah. You know how we used to.
Like, there's a million other things that I could be doing other than watching TV. I don't need it. I have
Yeah.
one. I have two actually. I don't need it.
Exactly.
So yeah, like I listed my TV for sale, and I'm like, I'm gonna get rid of that. Like I could spend more time outside, and I could like there's something peaceful about being able to sit on a porch or patio
Yeah.
in a chair and just pull up a book and read, especially on a rainy day. There's nothing like sitting on the patio or sitting outside under some covering and just like cracking open a book and just reading during the rain. It's something else. I don't even have words for it.
No, blissful kind of. It doesn't cover it.
Yeah, and so there's just no noise. I guess that's the real thing here that I'm trying to talk about. It's the noise of everyday life.
Yeah.
The more you can turn off that noise, the more you can open your mind and your consciousness to other things that are around you
Yeah.
that you sometimes take for granted.
But yeah, let me just applaud you for that. Like that was a beautiful transition.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful transition. About that, what do you read? You talking about expanding your consciousness.
Yes. So I mean I read a lot of things. It just really depends on my mood. I do have a lot of business books. I have a lot of science books. I have a lot of like personal development and mindfulness books, and then I also have a lot of fiction books too. So it just really depends on like what I'm feeling that day, or like what kind of mood I'm in, what I want to fill my head with. Because sometimes, it is nice to shut your brain off and be able to fill it with things that you I don't want to say like useless stuff, but like stuff that you're not necessarily going to use on a day-to-day basis. So like for me, when I was a kid, I loved the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And I had this book. It was the Lord of the Rings trilogy book. It was a thick book too, because it was all three books in one book. So that sucker was pretty thick.
Huge.
And in it, there was a bunch of other stuff too. Like there's like hand-drawn maps from Tolkien, and just like a bunch of extras in the book and artwork that that Tolkien used when he was writing the books.
Yeah.
And so like I like to be able to sit down and like open my imagination to things and come up with these creative stories, or picture like what I'm reading and like how I envision those scenes to look like, or those stories to be like, and it doesn't necessarily aid in my my growth per se in business, but it does allow my brain to kind of reset, and it does fuel that long-term creativity that I have when I do create other things, or when I do try to think up of some other creative ways to tell some stories. But ultimately, it's like the more you read, there's a saying, I might get this wrong and I forget who said it, but it's like those who don't read books live one life.
Yes.
Those who do read books live 1,000 lives.
Is that Mark Twain or Hemingway? No,
I honestly can't remember. I just remember the quote, and it's like, to me, it's like that's so true, because like the more I read, the more evaluated experience that I can get. And I don't necessarily have to do the same things that they're doing or tell the same stories, but every time I read a book, it's as it like I can picture in my mind as if I was actually there doing those things, and to me that's just as good as having experience itself.
Absolutely. And you were saying that you have this, that you visualize when you see these things. And that ties directly into the quantum physics. Like when I'm talking about quantum physics, I had that happening today. People say that I shouldn't use large names or phrases or concepts because it sounds too out there. But that is it. Just visualizing, being able to see something clearly in your mind. And when you're reading a book, there is no better way, in my opinion, to get new, fresh ideas from someone else's brain that is not influenced or morphed. Like on TV, you're seeing this as the director is showing that to you, but in a book, you have the creative ability to kind of visualize and see something else. And the better you visualize, the better you're connecting to this whole field, and stuff just keeps on happening. That's
Yeah, it certainly does.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a magical thing. So I think we kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent, but I want to tie this into this results and hidden powers thing that we're talking about.
yeah,
Um, and really the point here is that when you want something, or you have a goal set to achieve something, the more you fill your head with things that serve you, that support those goals and support the long-term future that you have envisioned for yourself, the more the universe will put things in front of you to either act on or not act on. It is ultimately your choice, but the more the universe will start to push you into those goals. And I like to call it like tripping over your goals. So if you have a goal set for yourself, or you have a vision for yourself, like let's say you want to live on a mountaintop in Norway.
that sounds like a beautiful place to live.
It does sound like a beautiful place to live, and I'm so jealous, by the way.
You're getting here.
but eventually I'll get there, and yes, it is a goal for me. But like to get to that, like let's say that's your goal. That's what you picture. You picture yourself on a mountaintop in Norway, and then you pick up a bunch of books on like living in the mountains, or like cabin living, or like the culture of living in Norway, and you like have all these books, or you have all of these, even if it's like a picture, you print out a picture of a mountain in Norway, and you like put that poster, that picture somewhere where you're going to walk past it every day, or you put those books on your table that or your next to your bed. Like every morning you wake up and you see that book, or every morning you walk through your living room, you walk past your living room table, and like there's the books that are sitting right there on your table. Like it's those kinds of actions that will allow you to trip over your goals, and it constantly reminds you of it, and it puts that picture into your mind.
Yeah.
So that way, ultimately, your subconscious mind will see those things and start acting on them, and allow you to do whatever it is that you need to do to make that a reality.
Absolutely.
So yeah, the results that you get ultimately come from the habits and the behaviors that you have set for yourself, and the harder you try to make something happen, the more the universe will respond to you, and either make it happen for you, or sometimes it'll make it seem like it's not making it happen for you. However, it is, because it will prevent you from uh, from doing things that wouldn't necessarily get you there, or it wouldn't fulfill you. So the I think the energy or the universe knows ultimately what it is that you need to do to get there, and it'll start
Absolutely.
to adjust your path accordingly to make those kinds of things happen.
Yeah, and as you said, because there's a lot of people that will say, "Well, this is woo woo." Well, let me unwoo woofy it for you. Let me demystify this,
Please
because
do.
yeah, because what you said, it makes complete sense. You're reprogramming yourself by the simple act of having a picture that reminds you of a mountain goal that you have. You have books that will further improve your knowledge on whatever topic that you need to understand to get to that goal. And if you're seeing that all the time, like if you didn't have that picture, all of a sudden Kim Kardashian breaks out some picture on social media and you're like, huh, what was I doing? Right? So if you always have that reminder, and for instance, in my case, I have one library in my office, one library in the living room. This sounds amazing, but it's just a collection of books in these different places where I have different topics that I want to educate myself on. But I put it in my path so that I can pick that up when I'm sitting down and I read and I get knowledgeable on that topic. And after a while, after I just keep on doing this, my subconscious mind will continue to build upon that habit. That's where that whole, you can say that you're manifesting, and to some way, much of the I would say this is manifesting in a high degree, and it goes into the whole mathematical or the logical sense and the cosmological sense, because you're reprogramming your mind through habits, which is going to create this energy and alignment in you, because you're going to feel empowered as shit when you understand these topics and you get that mastery feeling of learning these things, and you see that your mind is expanding and you're thinking in different terms. All of a sudden you feel better, your energy changes, and now you're noticing different things that is aligned with the things that you've learned. And all of a sudden, this is where we can go into the whole electromagnetic field. You're attracting different energy. But even if you don't believe in the whole law of attraction, energy attracting more of the same, you have subconsciously programmed yourself to go for a goal that you intentionally set by taking some small action of reading a little bit every day. Because there is a lot of people who don't read. And when I see people reading, I get I get truly happy these days, because I know the joy that can come from reading. And if I hear people starting to pick up reading, I'm like, oh wow, dude, you should read this book. And you're sharing ideas. It's a magical experience. Magical.
Yes, it is, and I think this is a perfect time to go off on a tangent and talk about some neuroplasticity.
See, that's the thing too. The tangent it ties perfectly in. Yeah.
Yeah, it sure does. And so, like, I'll share another story here about some of the experiences that I've had. But I've had quite a battle with mental health
Mm.
over the years, and it wasn't always good. Now, there's a lot of things that have happened in my life that would, to an average person, seem quite terrible. I've seen a lot of horrible things. I've been through a lot of horrible things. However, I've gotten to a point now where I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Mm.
And I certainly don't wish that it hadn't happened, because what had happened created the kind of person that I am today. But when those bad things happen, well, I'll kind of explain what it is I'm talking about. But when I was in the military, even after the military, I've worked in a lot of organizations, and I've worked in a lot of companies that just had a toxic workplace. And like, I'm talking about workplace violence. I'm talking about just I didn't even, I want to give it the proper word, because in some ways, I guess it's kind of like verbal abuse, but not necessarily. Uh, but it's just like a lot of the negativity and the hostility of like some of the things that people would say or do, or the actions that they would take, wasn't necessarily physical violence, but it was things that would not necessarily cultivate an environment, a healthy environment of like respectful boundaries, and one that would support positive growth. So I've been through a lot of those kinds of situations. I've been through a lot of, I have been through a lot of like verbal abuse and bullying, and even I went through a sexual assault myself. And so like a lot of these things that have happened, it broke me down, but it did, and like it did so in a way where like for a little while, yes, I allowed myself to feel that trauma. I allowed that trauma into my life to affect me. However, there came a point when I said like enough is enough, and then that's when the real growth started to happen. So you can take something like post-traumatic stress and turn that into post-traumatic growth, and it really starts in your brain, because what happens in your brain is that when you have a traumatic experience, you are rooting that traumatic experience, and you're reinforcing the neural pathways in your brain to like replay those feelings of sadness, regret, shame, disgust, anger, all of like everything that you feel or experience associated with that trauma. It just becomes like reinforced and stronger the more you allow it to. But then there comes a point where you can take that trauma, take that experience, and change it to serve you. And when you do so, you're creating new neural pathways in your brain and breaking down the old ones. You're literally changing your brain chemistry to allow the trauma to take a different form, so that you can use that experience. Like now I can think about some of the things that have happened, and it doesn't necessarily feel the same way as it did, but it allows me to change like how I respond to it. And then as a result, my brain is now different than it was before, and it has allowed me to facilitate new growth and new understanding and new neural pathways that allow me to do whatever it is I want to do, or however or whatever messages I want to convey to other people, and help other people that may be suffering from the same kinds of things. But yeah, that's essentially the whole thing that I wanted to talk about, is that you just have the power to be able to change your brain based off of what it is you want to experience next.
Yeah, where the focus goes, energy flows.
Absolutely.
And also neurons that fire together wire together. So you're basically choosing. We have the choice every single second of the day to have a different thought, to think about what sliver of light was there in any painful situation that you can focus on. And just by focusing on this, because there is a lot of some people who said that they want to change their negative thinking, or how they view their past, or how they feel in a certain memory, like if they're reliving these things, basically enforcing those neurons. Some people would say that they just have to let out the rage, right? Or suppress it, or just tell themselves that they're happy. But that won't fool your brain. That is, your brain is smarter than, it's equally as smart as you, not even more, right? So you need to, yeah, exactly. Like your amygdala, your alarm center, is just vibrating whenever you're going into that state. So finding the light, reframing it. I talked about like the one thing that I stumbled upon this when I lost my hair at like 17 or 18 years old. And people were starting to say that, hey, you're bald, hey, cue ball, all that stuff, right? Just to kids being kids. But it actually got to me. And it came to a point where I said, are you blind? I'm not bald. I'm taller than my hair, right? Because I had beard. And so I just, for some reason, that worked. I felt empowered. And then I came over the whole concept of reframing, where it's still the truth. Like, I'm bald, but I found the positive side of it. And yeah, there's so many things. You got through these painful moments in life and you just got stronger. You know now what would happen if you got into that situation again. You probably pick up on the cues before you even get into that situation. Do you become a stronger being and then enforcing those neurons to just become a, as Mark says, a energetically sovereign being? You are ruling life, crushing it. I mean, you're feeling aligned instead of held back, because a lot of people would allow themselves, I'm saying allowed with a big emphasis and an exclamation mark within a parentheses, to think about the past that is holding them back. Something that happened when they were a kid, something that happened because of their parents, something that happened in the workplace, whatever it is. We have a choice to believe that that is what keeps us back right now. Or we can reframe the situation and become what we need to be to reach our highest self. Yeah, neuroplasticity is powerful stuff. And we're incapable of going back. Biologically incapable of receding in growth. Like whenever you have a new thought, if you learned anything on this stream, on this episode right now, your brain is biologically changed forever. It will never go back. The information that you heard here, even though you don't remember it, will always be in your brain. So, knowing thyself, I guess. Who was that? Socrates? Not sure. Basically a superpower. This was a good conversation, Harold. We are closing in on 1 hour.
Yeah, it sure was, and thanks for allowing me to join you on your stream today.
Thank you for wanting to be on here. Like, I want to talk to as many people on the in the community as possible. But you and me, we have this linked future. We are twined forever in the eyes of the gods. Something is going to happen that is going to completely wreck that dent we, intended to put into the universe. Something has happened. I'm so glad that I met you. And I just want you to know that, like, it's few times where you really feel that you've met a person that you will be friends with for life. Like, when that happens, that is also energetically. You feel it is going to stay like that. And yeah, I'm grateful for you, brother.
Likewise, it is very rare nowadays that happens.
Yeah, it is.
When you do run into those kinds of relationships, please, if you're watching this stream, please do cherish them and
really cherish them.
Really cherish them. Don't take it for granted, and lean on those relationships heavily, and but do so in a way where it's not necessarily leaning on people in a way that exhausts them, but lean on them in a way that both adds value to you and to the relationships that you value so.
Exactly. Yeah, because there's a very big difference in exchanging energy or helping each other through rough times, or just being that energetic vampire, because there's a lot of those.
There is a lot of those.
There is a lot of those. But people, if you're watching this, we really appreciate you being here. Just watching this stream, you're supporting the heck out of us, algorithmically, all kinds of ways. If you want to share this stream, we would really appreciate that. If you want to help Harold get on the road and get that motor home, do that. The link is in the description. We appreciate the heck out of you. Consider supporting this channel on Patreon. The link is probably on the end screen. And we will talk to you in the next one. Looking forward to it, and have a fantastic day. Take care of your freaking family. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. Goodbye.